Hello and welcome to a special video. Today we are talking to Patrick Reed, who actually works on the Evolution of Medicine team and has been taking calls about the Practice Accelerator and many other things to do with the EvoMed programs over the last 6 to 12 months. And Patrick, was super excited to connect with you just to share a little bit of what you've learned along the way and add as much value to the practitioners in our community. So first things first, what is it about, your history and your world that gets you out of bed to get up and speak to practitioners every day?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And thanks for allowing me to speak here today, James. I really appreciate it. For me, what gets me out of bed every day is really helping practitioners, work through their business challenges. Previously I had kind of been in the allopathic world where that's a little bit different. And I've always kind of had a foot in the functional medicine world. But, now that I've kind of seen, from a business standpoint, how businesses are run, especially in that world, and where we can start creating efficiencies, that's what I really love. And I love the whole process of building out a practice from the start, getting all your things in place, your systems in place, and then executing those and obviously tweaking them, as as you grow within your practice. But really, I love that educating, okay, here's what we need to do with your niching, here's what we need to do with the marketing, and really educating them what's going to be the best possible solutions for them, and then watching them, be successful. So for me, it's really helping that business portion. And obviously I love the functional medicine stuff. I think really at the end of the day, the functional medicine stuff is just amazing for medicine, and it really needs to get out there. And, what we're doing to get it out there, I think is just, I'm 100% bought into the message. And honestly, with all the practitioners that I work with on a daily basis, I just enjoy so much talking to them. And it's just been, it's great. And I look forward to coming in every day to speak to them.
Great. Yeah. When we created the Practice Accelerator in 2016, that was really based off, me being in the industry since 2010, teaching practitioners about practice management. And, my feeling was that most practitioners' issues focused around sort of one of two things: either not enough patients, right? Or too many patients and not enough time. Does that still hold, or are there other things that you find that practitioners are sort of searching for when they get on a call with you?
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm hearing nowadays. And one of the things, obviously, we talk about in the accelerator is, the accelerators for, practitioners who are just getting in the game, while the ones like you're talking about who've got so much, so they're just burnt out. And I'm hearing both sides. I'm meeting with a lot of practitioners who are, they may be part of, another practice right now, or they may be part of a medical system, like I had been previously too, in with what I was doing. And then there's the other side of things. It's where, okay, you know what? There's just so much going on. I really love seeing my patients. I'm really passionate about working with my patients, but there's all this other, business stuff that I need to kind of, get done and make things more efficient. And they're, spending tons of time on the business and then also working with their patients. So they're looking for those solutions to really, get their time back. And I think, that's the big message in regards to the accelerator.
Yeah, getting your time back is critical, and really learning to be an entrepreneur, right? Learning to, weekly implement systems, have time to work on your business, not just always in the business. And it takes time. Doctors aren't really trained to do that. They're trained to just heal people and get people better and work with people. So that entrepreneurial sort of muscle definitely needs to be developed. And one of the things I'm excited to talk about today with you, Patrick, is that, ultimately, when we had most people coming into the accelerator, so end of 2016, 17, one of the things that we did early on was to build these accountability groups, essentially, because we realized that this journey from practitioners. If you're going to sign up for a self-paced course, right, there are other options out in the industry where you can spend $20, $30, $100,000 on practice management training. And then you might get someone who's going to crack the whip at you every week. But if you're going to sign up for a self-paced course that's under $4,000, where you're going to be driving it and learning to be an entrepreneur, one of the biggest things that practitioners have to get over is they have to get into a habit of just, working on their business every week, creating, a list of things that they have to do and working through that list. And building each time you put something into a system, it's almost like you're saving yourself time for every week moving forward. So I know one of the things I'm excited to share today is that we're going to be bringing those accountability groups back for anyone that signs up in this window, this September, twice a year when we open the doors to the Accelerator. If you sign up this month, we're going to add you to one of those implementation groups where you'll be working with Patrick and some of your peers to start to implement what's important for you. How do you, when you've had conversations with people and it's clear to them, hey, you're going to actually have to really start executing consistently, how does that fall for practitioners, and how important do you think these accountability groups are going to be in helping people really get the most value from the program?
Yeah, and I think these accountability groups are going to be great. I'm truly excited about these. And because one of the things that I continue to hear, in my calls is, is there going to be any sort of accountability coaching, that goes along with the Accelerator? Now that we're able to provide more of that and a little bit more, structure and going through and holding practitioner accountable while their cohorts are also, I think it's going to be great. And I think one of the things too that I want to touch upon there is, the word that always comes to my mind, especially when talking to practitioners, is overwhelmed. A lot of practitioners are just overwhelmed with their business, their patients, or just overwhelmed with getting all of this started. And it's like working with, a patient, or where it's like, okay, you know what? If you want somebody to be successful in their health journey, you've got to take the steps to do it, but you can't give them, the kitchen sink. You can't just throw everything at them all at once. So really what's going to be, important in regards to the accountability groups is, okay, we're going to, go through these bits and pieces of the Accelerator, find and connect them to the best assets that are in there, and then coach them along in regards to getting and executing that. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. It's, let's take this in small bite-sized pieces. Let's stay consistent with it. We're not going to overwhelm you. And you have a community of peers that are also going to, help you go through that journey. So I think, yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I'm just, ready to get after it.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, I wanted to just come back to that, all the way through the Accelerator. We called it the Practice Accelerator because we realized that functional medicine in its current form was not really efficient enough to become the standard of care. And we saw three major ways in which clinics could build enough efficiency to have a practice that could. And one is technology, right? Two is coaching, and three is groups. And so I know, you're really passionate about group care because you've been working, with the LMRC as well, with their group visit toolkits. But, one of the reasons why groups are so effective and efficient is because the sort of the accountability ends up being spread amongst the group. You're held accountable by your peers. And I've had in my own life, dramatic results with being part of a men's group where I'm now accountable to a group of other people that are trying to do the same thing. And I just feel like, I think it's really clear to people clinically anyway, that group visits in medicine can get a higher level of accountability and therefore get better results, because the whole thing about functional medicine is you need to change behavior. And so I'm really excited to bring these groups back for our entrepreneur community, because ultimately, it's one thing to learn the information. It's another thing to implement the information, as we know with health. And so there's just so many great parallels. And because we've been such a strong voice, obviously, for group visits, I'm super excited that, we can now bring this back, and we have someone like yourself that, can facilitate and support practitioners to, overcome the hurdles and deal with, or be effective, even though they may still be overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. And one of the things I like about the groups too, to work off what you were saying, you're in a community of other people who are kind of going through the same thing. And, one, it creates that empathy for each other, which then builds those relationships and creates those bonds. And then, from a practitioner standpoint, within the Accelerator, there might be some other ideas from other people in there that maybe they saw something that worked for them, or, you know, it's definitely, it's more of a collective kind of like thing. And I think that's great to, one, develop that community, but two, to really like, you know, down the road, or, you know what, everyone within that group could still be communicating with each other and banking off ideas and helping each other execute, which is, you know, great. And everyone's successful in that scenario.
Beautiful. Well, that's what we want. Well, Patrick, look, I really appreciate, you know, you coming on and being part of this conversation. I'm super grateful for the work that you're doing with our practitioners. I'm really grateful to see that, you know, more and more, I think everyone in the community is recognizing that there's just a baseline layer of functionality and sort of automation that can really make your practice manageable. And what's really exciting is seeing that once practitioners get this baseline layer of automation with like getting an email, educating someone over email, and then giving them a pathway to go to, the end practice vision can be very different. Like we've got practices that are on insurance, cash, direct primary care. We had one doctor who's one of the earliest alumni in the Accelerator on the podcast last week, Dr. Amy Apagin, doesn't have a practice at all, you know, just makes content and does group programs because she's focused on addiction and she believes in the power of the group and she knows that it works. So, you know, for anyone, whatever your practice vision is and you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to find a way to communicate out to people, to get them interested and to warm them up. That's the core functionality of the Accelerator. I guarantee that if you sign up for the Accelerator, you will never make a bad technology decision, which could throw back your practice, you know, months or even years and cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of your practice. And myself and Patrick and the rest of the EvoMed team are here to be able to guide you along the way. So if you want to book a call with Patrick, if you go to goevomed.com/accelerator, you can book a call with one of our team. Patrick is mainly taking those calls. I'm taking some of those calls, but we'd love to hear from you. Patrick, thanks so much for all the hard work that you're doing, and super excited to see how these groups roll out. Always remember, with the Accelerator, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you buy it, you start implementing, and you think, hey, this is not for me, we'll happily, you know, give you your money back. We want to make sure that the entrepreneurs of the future, people that want to build the future of healthcare, are being supported by our community. And we're super grateful for all of your time and attention. Thank you, Patrick.
All right. Thanks for having me, James. I look forward to speaking to everybody.
All right. This has been a special video from the Evolution of Medicine. I'm James Maskell. This has been Patrick Reed. We'll see you next time.
Take care.